for me, I think challenging situations are not really the problem, because you need to have a good research in order to, become a researcher, to be honest.
Nice meeting you. Usman, you've had a lot of experience in cross pharmacy, disaster, public health, humanitarian settings, and systematic reviews. I'm going to ask you a question like, what really drew you into research and evidence synthesis?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me to the interview, David. And I'm similarly glad to be here as well. And yes, I'm a pharmacy graduate from Pakistan, from University of Biological and Applied Sciences in the city of Lahore. And then I was selected for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship for Public Health and Disasters and Epidemiology. It's actually a dual and joint masters throughout Spain, Sweden, and Cyprus, going through University of Oviedo, Karolinska Institute, and then Nicosia Medical School. And then we also have like a choice to do a joint thesis.
Okay.
And in between of all of this, we also get the opportunity for internship. And I'm currently going to do my internship in European Council for Disaster Medicine.
Okay.
And we are also invited for a scoping review by WHO during the time of my internship there.
Okay, that's good. All right.
Yeah, so that's the shortest thing I can say.
Completely, because I'm going to be talking about something like the reality of systematic reviews, because most people, a lot of times, it's many people see systematic reviews as just literature searches and writing. Now, I'm going to ask a question from your experience. Is the process actually is that the process, and what do people often misunderstand about it?
Okay, so here's the thing. Systematic reviews are one of the toughest research you want to go for. It's not as simple as it sounds. And obviously, it's one of the highest standard of research because you're compiling a lot of studies together. And then you're running a methodology on that whether these researches prove my hypothesis or not. The question of research that I have, is that a yes? Is that a no? And to how much extent is that, the capacity of that? And then you also kind of somehow you are also doing a review of those researches in a way that when you get the final answer, those researches will be validated on based of your answer. You get my point? Because
yes, completely.
Exactly. So it's not as easy as it sounds, but yes, it's a process that I would definitely enjoy, and I enjoy it, and I'm currently in that process as well. So it's, I mean, systematic reviews there. I see a little bit of, in fact, a lot of resistance from the LMICs group, specifically low and middle income countries.
True.
And because two of my recent projects have been like, I had to shut them down because of the data I couldn't find there. Like this was an empty systematic review I was about to write, and I had to shut down everything after the full text screening.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I was doing this thing. It was actually the first responder psychological analysis.
Yeah.
We were doing the intervention studies in Pakistan, and I was very hopeful. I was like, we're going to do this. And we're doing the full text screening, and we don't even have a single article. And I was like, oh, damn, we don't have first responder studies for interventions, and there are no psychological interventions in Pakistan. And then I had to broaden my research scope. And instead of Pakistan, we went for the whole low and middle income countries. And even on that, I could like find only 12. 3 were the cluster RCTs, and 9 were the other ones, normal RCTs that I found, and that was it. And I was like, there is so less data. And if we move towards high income countries, there is so much data that you actually have to decide what articles to keep in.
Completely.
Like,
true.
Yeah, it's like I was really shocked to see that. Then also with that, I initially was proposing a plan for CAP studies with my classmates, because this is a research-based degree. So we're very much into research. We're doing research here, there. it's a mess.
Yeah.
So in all of that, I came up with an idea for a CAP assessment studies to be done in Pakistan for the disaster knowledge in pharmacy graduates, because I myself am a practicing pharmacist. And
Yeah.
when I was selected for this program, it was like a shock to me because I never saw this kind of programs.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Yeah, completely. Yeah, because I just you talked about kind of strengthening research in LMICs and all of that.
yes,
So, from what I've seen, you've worked within the context of Pakistan, and you're now studying across Europe. So, I'm going to ask you, what do you think needs to happen for to countries in Africa and other LMICs to strengthen evidence synthesis capacity and research culture? What do you really think that should actually happen to strengthen evidence synthesis and research culture?
so I mean, your question is very interesting itself, and it can be debatable of what I'm about to answer. But from the perspective of my field of public health, and if we move specifically into disasters, I would say we need a lot of first hand studies, original researches, which currently I don't see being done in Nigeria or LMICs, to be very specific, because I haven't studied Nigeria on very detailed pattern. But if you ask me about overall perspective for LMICs, I have seen very few original researches coming out of these countries. And yes, one reason can be accessibility towards databases and
Yes, yes,
publishing it,
yes,
because
yes, true.
one thing that I think was the main problem even to me as well in Pakistan, when you are done with the research, I don't think doing the research is the problem. What I think is the publishing of that
Yeah, yeah,
research,
yeah, true,
that's the
true,
main
of
problem,
course.
because you have to pay. And from
Yes,
being an LMIC, they give you discount and all that, but the amount is too much.
true, true,
It
true.
always, yeah, it always ends up
Exactly.
to be too much.
Yes,
And obviously, you're not, if you're even if you're the first author, you're not gonna pay the whole amount. Everybody is gonna be in that. All the authors, it's gonna be divided.
completely.
So some of them can be students with you,
Yes,
and they might be barely even surviving within the university frame, and then they know, oh, I've got a publication and I have to pay for that. Oh, let's leave it.
yes,
You get that mindset.
exactly true. I completely
And
agree.
this actually happened with me. The only part where I was fortunate, I was working a full-time job with my studies, which was apparently, to if you tell someone, seems unbelievable, but yes, I was working a nighttime full-time job for 9 hours, and then in the morning I was going to the university as well. So I was very interested in research from third year of my university,
True.
and I wanted to like pursue in this. But in the start I was like confused. I was like, how to do it, who's going to support, how I'm going to make sure I didn't even know about that. We have to pay to get it published, and
Okay.
I'm doing everything I can, and all of a sudden my professor's like, you know what, you got to pay somewhere around, I was in Pakistani rupees was 10,000, and it was a good amount. 10,000 is an hefty amount for a student at least. And I was like, oh, I had to pay. And, and then I came to realize, okay, this is how things
Okay.
go.
Yes.
And from there, then I like transformed myself going on a scholarship, because that time my professor told me, if you were in a European institute or some, American institute or anywhere outside of the LMIC,
Mhm.
fee would have been waived for you. But sorry,
Completely.
we have to pay, and I can't pay the whole amount. You're an author as well, so you have to pay.
Yeah. Yes,
And I was
true.
like, damn, this thing needs to change, because they're oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I'm
no
so sorry.
problem. Yeah, she's fine.
Uh, I was like, they're resisting the researchers and the whole scientific community within the LMIC to publish a paper.
Yeah,
Because if you don't have the means of money, you can't publish it.
of
That
course.
means research is never the problem. The problem was just the publishing fee from these countries.
Completely true. It's true because a lot of people from LMICs, like some of the constraints they do face is publication fees, because I've had a lot of friends, back when we even got into research newly, wanting to publish, and they're getting a lot of constraints, that's those fees are actually stopping them. You can look at a journal like MDPI. for you to publish there, you're paying more than $4,000 and all of that, and
That
you
it's
begin to imagine.
4,500 euros for MDPI. And
Yeah,
now the paper I told you about, I'm working on the systematic review for first responder psychological analysis intervention studies that I'm running in LMIC.
yeah.
The fee is waived.
Wow, that's nice. Yes, I
And
think
I,
BMC also with their publication. Recently, I think we have a publication that we're expecting, a meta-analysis on ivermectin, for scabies.
yeah,
We did a
I read
comparative.
that.
Yes,
I read
so
that. Yeah, yeah.
the paper was accepted, and it should be published anytime between tomorrow or next, because
Mhm.
we've basically filled all the gallery proof. And of course, we do get waiver from BMC all the time, almost all the time, because we've been publishing there. I think they are really very helpful in terms of supporting researchers, people who actually really want to publish their findings. So, but then I could just ask you a question now about the impact and public trust. How important is research in shaping public health preparedness, looking at your area of interest and maybe disaster response and healthcare systems, especially in vulnerable settings?
Okay, let me tell you this, David. So, if you want to, it depends. First of all, if you're doing an original research where you want to collect the data and you're doing it in disaster settings, to be very specific, it can be hell of a task because during disasters we have other protocols that we have to follow as a disaster management specialist. Based on that, you have to be first with them who's providing the aid in order to do this research on the field if you're planning to do the original research. But somewhere like around 5-10 years back, this has been the issue and they actually worked on it. And so now the original research is never, I mean, in my field, the original research now no more is no more the problem. But coming towards the assessment studies, the reviews and all that stuff, and then I forgot to mention about one of my other projects that I worked in the first semester. That was actually the air quality index and the ILI, the pulmonary diseases analysis, that how air quality is related with that, and we implemented it through machine learning models, and those machine learning models were implemented from China. Data was collected back in Pakistan. One reason that I noticed was the healthcare system in Pakistan does not give their data on an open source website.
Wow,
You cannot access their data. Neither they can. They give the data to the higher ups,
wow,
and nobody knows it's whether published or not. You will find very less data on Pakistan. And that is one of the main problems that I've found so far, that having research ideas or research proposals is never the problem. In fact, Pakistan is, I mean, in my circle so far, in Pakistan, there are a lot of students who are so much interested in research. In fact, one of my juniors have joined your organization for a systematic review internship,
okay. That's
Minahil.
nice. That's
Minahil, her name is Minahil, and she just joined like a week back, I think.
yeah.
And thanks to her, I came through your organization, and in that whole week, I was studying your papers and your way of communicating and your research strategies and all. And I was like, this is good actually, because I haven't seen so far from any LMIC countries that the way you are doing this research thing is being done. I mean, I'm sad at the same time that somebody should have did this thing in my country as well, because there are a lot of good researchers that I know. But now I understand doing research or the research idea is never the problem. The problem is data itself. I mean, just data, and then it comes to what publishing. If you have the data, then the publishing is one of the main hurdles that you will face. And if you have the waiver for publishing, like I do, the data is the problem.
Yes.
So you have to somewhere find a road between
Yeah,
them.
exactly, exactly true. I completely agree with you because most times, access to the data is an issue. As somebody who is also rooted in machine learning and computational research, most times when we want to train some of these foundational models, we have to go to Cargo, and sometimes most of what we are working with is synthetic data, right? So you still
Mhm.
need access to real-time data, from facilities,
Exactly.
health institutions, organizations, and all of that. And those are actually some of what we are really, really, really passionate and rooted to have that access to. Because once researchers have access to data, it makes it easier for them to unleash findings. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if there is limitation, maybe giving them that access to that data, then of course it's definitely going to be a very big challenge to the research landscape, and that is what we are trying to make sure we combat, on our own level. So, but with respect to this now, could you just tell me maybe why you feel early career researchers must stay involved? Do you understand? Maybe let's say because currently we know that a lot of young researchers become discouraged because of funding limitations, maybe lack of mentorship or publication barriers and all of that. So why do you think staying involved in research remains important despite some of these challenges?
Okay, so I'll give you an example of mine to explain this. I was discouraged as well as a young researcher, realizing that, oh, my bachelor's is complete and I don't have an organization to be affiliated with anymore. How I'm
Mhm.
going to do the research? Either I get myself into like academics, and getting into academics with a bachelor's degree sounds like unreasonable. So what to do? And I had a GPA of 3.4 to be very specific, and with a GPA of as mine, people was like, oh, applying for scholarships is like a dream. You don't have a good GPA. It's 3.4 out of 4. What do you expect? You'll get a full scholarship? That's not possible. And I was like, okay, let's see. And I kept trying on. I kept trying finding the ways. Eventually, I did. Similarly, for the mentorship, I've been doing these courses from Coursera from John Hopkins for systematic review and meta-analysis. I did that. Apparently, I did that for free, to be honest.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I've been trying to find ways, and I always end up finding a way, one way or the other. And when I got through the scholarship, instantly my problem working as a researcher was solved, because I came into a degree that's completely research focused. And even in this degree, if I don't want to carry out research, just let's say for an example, I have an option to work with a humanitarian organization, and even in their organization I have to work on research. So ultimately I have to work on the research thing. It was me who had to decide now whether make peace with it and start doing the work, or whether just try find ways to kind of escape this reality and just say, oh, not possible, not possible.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh.
even here, I need and being the student, I need a professor to, as one who's going to be supervising me in order for me to publish a paper. And then I had this in my mind. Okay, there are actually some students in my class who say, "Oh, the professor is not going to agree with the research idea. Let's drop this." And I was like, I did two projects, and the professor is more than interested to work with me on it. Why would she not approve it or he approve it? Just bring up your idea with, oh, who's going to take so much time preparing the proposal? And that made me realize, okay, it's not about doing it or not doing it. It's about the mentality. If you want to do it, you will end up doing it before even you think it. You get my point. So for me, I think challenging situations aren't really the problem, because you need to have a good research in order to become a researcher, to be honest. We can't say we know the whole research. I think I might know only some 0 point something of research. It's like an ocean. Obviously, you can't expect, or you can't like. I'm not the one who can say, or even a PhD professor wouldn't ever say that I know the research. It doesn't make any sense.
True.
There's always going to be new methods. There are always going to be new things that you need to learn. So I think yes, researcher also being a researcher means like being a full-time learner. And for me, I'm not a job person. I'm sort of a person who wants to learn and learn and learn. So kind of makes me fit into the research thing. So yeah, this is the thing.
Yeah, completely. Because most times I feel like it is even when you have some of those challenges that it's even when you have some of those challenges that it should kind of give you much more room to do research. Because if you come, let's say for example now here in Nigeria or in in other African settings, when there is maybe people are complaining about maybe lack of electricity and lack of maybe some kind of infrastructure to make sure it keeps your research up and going. How do you even think they could be able to tackle that challenge?
That's a very good question because one of my students, the topic I mentioned about the LMIC, one of my students from my former university are working with me. They're my juniors actually,
Okay.
and he was telling me today, "Oh, Usman bhai, my light is not coming in right now. Can I wait for an hour?" And I was like, "What's the thing that you were supposed to do?" Oh, I was supposed to do the risk bias from the Robvis 2 cluster thing. I can't access the RevMan, and I was like, "Okay, did you check? There is a free version of that software." Oh, where is it? I don't know the updated one. The light is not here right now. Can we do it later? I was like, this is your last warning. You don't do the work next time. Consider yourself out. I'm gonna do it right away. Don't worry. And he was like, oh no no no. I have this tactics to
Okay.
give a little bit of dose sometimes just to make sure the guy knows okay he's taking it very serious and he might remove me if I don't do the work properly or if I stop if I start making excuses he's gonna be mad at me.
Completely.
One aspect of being a teacher is also this that you know how to get things done by your students.
Of course.
So I was like, don't worry for now. I'll make sure I do it. And I did it instantly because I was sitting in like working on my laptop. I just got rid of my exam for the semester like day before yesterday. And it's been 2 days. I haven't rested still. And I was like, I have so much things to do. I have to prepare for the interview thing. I don't know what they're going to ask me. I have to work on the research. I have to do this research. Currently, I'm running two projects at the same time. And I'm working multitasking actually, but based on the time schedule. Yes, there will be these kind of students who's going to make excuses, but at the same time, me being a teacher, I should know how to get teacher and researcher. I should know how to get things done from
Completely.
them, or I should do it by myself because
Yeah.
sometimes you have to jump in.
Yeah,
Being a
of course.
supervisor
Completely.
doesn't mean that you just boss around. You have to jump in most of the times. And I actually had to jump in this time because last time my topic, because of them, was it to zero. And I was like, how did you guys meet an empty systematic review? I have never seen, not even a single study coming up. Then I checked and they were actually right. I kind of broadened my research scope on that, moving it from Pakistan to LMICs, and then they were excluding some countries, and they didn't know that it's actually in low income country. And I was like, "Did you guys check World Bank website? That's the authentic or standard way of checking it." Oh, sorry. And then we do the rescreening. I had to do screening 3 times, and I learned this thing. Okay, you gotta jump in every time, and then you have to take the charge. So yes, these kind of things come up, but being a supervisor makes sense that you're in a position where you can make sure to help them out. I mean, to me, it's more of part of like being a researcher. That's gonna happen. Not every country will have full-time electricity or full-time internet, so we kind of
Completely.
expect that to happen.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because the goal is to see that the goal is to see that maybe we are able to lead properly, share insights and also more like communicate some kind of features or
Exactly.
characteristics that would make a lot of young researchers, people who are actually coming up, develop that massive passion. Currently now we are even offering physical internship Do you understand? Physical
Mhm.
internships, where we get to see them, engage with them, and also make sure they get it done. It's different when somebody's at home with their laptops and you
Most of the time, the students,
yeah.
and specifically if I talk about Pakistan, students mostly they don't take it serious. But then I also know some people. One of them is studying with me in Karolinska. She came directly to Karolinska without any scholarship. She was self-paying,
Mhm.
but she has a research profile that always have inspired me actually, and she took things very seriously. And I mean, to be honest, I've learned a lot from her. So me taking things seriously and sitting on my laptop and working whole day or night without even thinking about food or night day or night thing is something that comes from her. So yes, there are many students who takes it seriously. We just need to find them, to be honest.
Completely, yes, of course. We'll always be finding them, getting the right
Yeah.
talents and developing them very, very massive. So, another thing I'm going to ask you, maybe one of the last thing, maybe I might want to hear from you is, with respect to conducting a systematic review, what is one of the areas, particularly with developing systematic review, that you find very tasking and all of that? Yeah.
Sorry, very what?
Like, let's say whenever you're conducting a systematic review, what's your reaction towards some certain areas that maybe you find very taxing, that you find very maybe
Very.
kind of technical or something?
Oh, technically, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be honest. Systematic review, if you're doing it without meta-analysis, I don't think it's very difficult. It's one of the easiest things we can do. But yes, while developing the research booleans, that is that is a task. That sometimes makes me okay. I might need to find some more strategies because I might not get the papers I want. Yeah, developing those sometimes it's little tricky, I would say. Not tough, but it's just little frustrating sometimes.
Okay.
But if you conduct the meta-analysis with it, the working on R can be one of the headaches you don't want to have because most of the times you would end up with the wrong code and then you have to rework on the whole thing again, making sure that the
Completely.
results doesn't get changed. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not I wouldn't say it's difficult. It's just sometimes it's tricky, sometimes it's frustrating, because you're sitting in front of a computer screen. What do you expect? You're gonna get frustrated, obviously. So I mean, sometimes yeah, it happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's been a very awesome time. Maybe the last thing I want to talk about is collaboration. I feel like collaboration is something that is really very important. Joining the
Yeah.
right teams and all of that. Once you engage with the right team, it makes a lot of sense. Can you actually highlight some maybe on that, maybe for a couple of minutes?
You want me to highlight the specific
On
projects I've been running?
collaboration, maybe on collaboration as a very
Okay.
specific way
Yeah.
to make research faster.
So collaborations, if you talk about, I've got the ICAP-E. It's for the Public Health Society, a research society for public health that I'm associated with. And currently, I'm studying across three institutes. So I'm in collaboration with them as well because I'm a master's research student here. Certainly, and then I also have my collaboration back home in Pakistan from the university I graduated.
Okay.
So yes, these are the collaborations, and currently I'm also enrolled in climate action and health course from the UN University. So I'm working with them, and one of the professors from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Sciences. She is about to agree or have agreed, you can say, for a joint thesis of mine with London School of Hygiene and Tropical Sciences and Nicosia Medical School, Cyprus. So we're in the that process is in the pipeline right now. I'm working with her on making sure we design the thesis in a way that's a research, because it's going to be a research project. So we're working on prescribing generic prescriptions and the patient's response to that in Pakistan,
Yeah.
because there is certainly interest from the stakeholder side on knowing about this response from the patients and generic prescriptions. So I'm into the thing is under the pipeline right now. We're working on it, how to how we can relate it with the disaster situations and the public health as well. So we're kind of trying to mix it in a way that is relevant to public health and disasters, and then it's also relevant to pharmacy as me being a pharmacist. So currently I'm working on that. And initially I had yeah, I mean, this was pretty much it, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this these are all that I can remember for now.
Okay, that
But
I think
there
that's
must be
fine.
some others as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just a
Yeah,
lot of things I have on my plate. So
completely.
this is the least things that I'm worried about. For me, the main things for now is working on research and making sure my research profile now hits up the threshold where it's supposed to be. Because as I said earlier, my main goal is to go for a PhD, and I'm planning to do a PhD in Europe specifically. So that's one of my main
Questions.
priorities, that I have to work on research with the students to make sure that I learn, they learn, and we make a paper in a way that's presentable. And at the same time, we have those kind of topics that are, barely touched by people and are actually very important to be studied on. So as I've explained to you earlier as well, that the topics that I'm already working on are one of the very rarely touched areas right now, and they're major concerns in Europe right now from the European population. So my next plan is as well working on epidemiology and climate relation, because this is the you can say the topic or the subject that the European funding agencies are looking into, and they're very much interested as well. Because if we talk about the general public health or the epidemiology, general epidemiology for patients, Europe itself, if you specifically Sweden, have reduced their funding for public health and epidemiology up to 70%, and they're moving towards climate and epidemiology, and then they're moving towards SHR for the equity and equality things. So they're
Yeah.
moving into these kind of topics. And me as a young researcher, or as a master's student, I would definitely recommend going into those areas where I know the funds are going. And from there, in future, who knows, if I get a PhD funded by the Europe's countries or institutes, that topic would be of higher importance and weightage.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. The reason why we came up with some of this conversation is we want to know the truth in research and, make sure we initiate conversations that can really be very helpful to early career researchers. Like we want, people, an average researcher who is in a country that doesn't even know the left and right can actually get the
Exactly.
right conversation and also know that that there is hope and there is significant progress that can be made. So maybe what's one last thing you can say to that person who is somewhere? What's one last thing you might want to tell them?
I would say just try searching for the opportunities, try searching for the options available, because sometimes, in fact, most of the times, you will find only the surface. You need to explore the whole ocean. Try realizing whether research is even your interest or not. Because research, I agree, it sounds very astonishing, it sounds very incredible, but the only person who knows about it is the one who is actually doing it.
Conflict. Yes.
You get my point.
Honestly, I do agree with that completely.
I do used to think this. I do used to think similarly, like, oh, research. That sounds very astonishing.
Yeah,
But
true.
when I started doing it, I realized, okay, it's not a piece of cake. It's gonna
Yes,
take
okay.
some efforts, and it's gonna take some.
Exactly.
In fact, a lot of your sleepless nights.
Exactly.
Research do require it. So yeah,
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Mohammed, for your time. It was really very much pleasure, and I will definitely keep in touch with you. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, yeah.